2. 1, 2. I can't really lean in. 1, 2. I could turn it up, couldn't I? I could turn it up. It might be loud enough. I don't want to shout. I'll turn it up a little bit. I've got the cat. Got the cat on. Got the cat on me here. Where's everything? Where's everything? No chat. Let's pop chat. Pop chat. That's chat. Where's the browsing window? Okay, so what am I missing? Oh, the Super Nintendo Switch is not on. It's not on, is it? That's not on. It's not on, mate. Where's chat gone? Move chat. We'll cover up this little black line at the left. There's a space there that, because I moved the camera, I'll just cover it up with the chat. Easy life. Hello. Hello, you. I haven't even done the introduction yet. Hello, capital K. I just got to show you, look. I got this cat. Got this little cat. This little cat. So I was just out in the garden. And I heard this wow. I'm not going to do it now because the cat's right here. I heard this big wow. And there's a little bit of a gap in the back fence. The cats use it to sort of run up and down the, it's like a little cat run between the two fences and the other neighbour's garden. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm talking nice now. Cat. Come back here. What? Right. Mood spoiled. Show's over. She's gone. I can talk normally. The the little cat run that they use for going in, between gardens and what have you. I put my head round there. Marlo's got his head round there straight away when he's heard this wow. And there's Shakima, our cat, and then there's a great big ginger other cat. Like both, it's like they're head to head in the passway. It's like there's only a small passway and there are two of the cats. But the ginger cat's closer to us than Shakima is, I think. It's like weird, it's just like a little scruff of ground, so there's no like straight line through it. But Shakima couldn't get past it to get to us. And it was sort of trapping Shakima in this. She just disappeared out a little side hole. She found a little cheeky. She just disappeared. All of a sudden, it was Big Cat and me and Marlo. And Marlo's going, cha, 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 cha. And like, the big cat went, and I was like, you chuff off. So then it chuffed off. And I was like, Shakima, you coming in? So we've had a little, we've just had a little bit of a animal based. She's skulking around. She's not happy. She's feeling bullied. She's skulking around. She wants the security of Marlo and Scotty, but she didn't want to. She's coming back now. You're coming back, Shakim Kim. She's patrolling. That's what she's doing. She's patrolling. Omar, the big street cat who should be dealing with this. Omar, he's upstairs asleep. Haven't seen him for a bit. He's asleep somewhere. So, she's dealing with it. She's got a dog to help her. She's hiding behind the door now. Anyway, so that's been happening. Hi, you're with Scott. This is Battery Exhausted, my stream. It's not Battery Exhausted. Omar is the king, isn't he? He's a big chuffy king. That's what he is. This is Battery Exhausted. It's not, hi, you're with Scott. This is Ganji Kid, my stream. I was thinking of changing its name the other day. Come up with a better name. Check this out. I'll put it in chat and then I've lost it. It'll have gone into the ether and someone else can steal it. What about this? All right. What about this as the new name? We've been going for a year now. My gamer tag has been my gamer tag since I was like 14. So it's not going to change now. But what about this? I'll put it in chat. Boom. What about that? Grave Kipper. What kind of fish do they eat at Halloween? A grave kipper. It's like gravekeeper, but it's a fish. Have you heard of a kipper? It might be a UK fish. It might be a UK. It's a smoked fish in the UK. It's like a smoked fish. Gravekeeper, like gravekeeper, like ooh, gravekeeper, like the Undertaker's, like one of the main wrestlers, the Undertaker. Gravekeeper. Ooh, it's quite. I could go a bit more goth. I could stop wearing these jazzy colours. Stop with this jazzy background. We could go a bit more goth, couldn't I? go a bit more goth, just for a bit, you know, just for a bit, for a season. I could call myself Gravekipper. I think I'm going to have to fashion it in some way. I'll stay as Ganji Kid, but we might just write Gravekipper on the wall in big letters or something. Oh, no, wait, I know what I can do. I saw Asmongold do this yesterday. I can add text, can I? Text. Create a new text, free type 2. Okay. Here it is. Grave Kipper. Like that. Gravekipper. Hey. Change the font. You can have any different font. You can all the fonts. Trebuchet. You can have it in got all the fonts. It's not changing. Cancel. Do I have to select it? Select font. I don't know what the fonts look like. We'll go with that one. That's worse, isn't it? That's worse. I made it tiny. That'll do. That one will do. I'll just make it bigger on the old screen here. Look, there you go. Gravekipper. Gravekipper. I just put it up there, and then from now on, that's mine now. No one else can have it. Gravekipper. I'll put it down the bottom. Wait, move it down there. So people think it's me. Gravekipper. Then Ganji Kid can be like the name of the media product, and I can be within the media product. I can be Gravekipper. If I were goth, do you know what? When I was growing up, I was a goth. You'll be surprised. We don't have photographic evidence. We do probably somewhere have a couple of photographs of me as a young gun. Like between the ages of about 13 to 15, about 14, I was full goth. The first year into it, I started wearing the long leather coat like the Crow. It was because of the Crow. Do you remember the Crow with Brandon Scott Lee? The Crow. I had the long leather coat. It wasn't my leather coat. It was my sister's leather coat. But we used to swap clothes in the, we'd buy loads of stuff from charity shops, and we were both quite grunge rocky, and like we both, oh, that's a nice leather coat. Oh, I'll wear that today. Can I wear your flares? That sort of thing. So the Crow was confusing. Well, your spirit goes in the Crow, and then people are angry, and then it's like, oh, sexy goths. That's the gist, isn't it? That's the gist. I think that's what happened. So we all, went a bit goth. Also the music. I wasn't really into Cradle of Filth, but there were a couple of goth-esque bands. I like Joy Division. One of my friends from Coventry, who I was really enamoured with, she was into Joy Division, and it wasn't like so gothy, but it was a sort of depressive, Middle England, concrete, urbanisation, depressive feel. I don't know. We went a bit goth. We did. I did. I wore a bit of makeup. Used to have the black lipstick, bit of eyeliner. Definitely had the nails painted. I remember at school, it was the last day of term, right? It was the last day of term. Well, my sister had, how many covers it got? You would be surprised, there's an active Wiccan community in the UK, specifically in where we live. I know 3 or 4 people that since I was, a kid, now we've all grown up, they're still goths, they're still doing the Wiccan magic, they've still got all this stuff at their house. It's not like I've got a book upstairs of Wiccan magic. You'd be surprised how many covens there are. But goth covens specifically, I know even more specifically, I went to a few gigs where like the styles would overlap. Placebo was a good example. Placebo. There were quite a lot of goths at Placebo. You'd be surprised. When they did their first album, Nancy Boy and Hold On To Your IQ and all that. That first album, I went to see Brian Molko's Placebo at the Wolverhampton Wolfram Hall, and there was quite a few goths there. I was goth-esque. We used to go to these rock nights in clubs, when like you're sort of not old enough to go to a club, but you sort of sneak in, and there'd be rock nights, and they'd be easier to get into than the dance nights for some reason. Maybe because there was, I don't know. Like we just used to get full decked up in our rock goth clothes. Maybe harder to identify once you've got your makeup on and you in a group of goths. But we used to go to these goth nights sometimes, and they'd be playing all the, I didn't buy any Cradle of Filth CDs. But I was definitely into that sort of edge. So being a freak or a geek at that time, I was more freak than geek. And yeah, I had the long leather coat, big black boots, tight black trousers. Don't know what sort of t-shirt or jumper I'd wear. Probably something warm. Probably still, even back then, I liked to be warm when I was out. And then a bit of like slathered black, bit of the eyeliner like that. Marilyn Manson, although he's a horrible rapist now, isn't he? But back then he was like a bit of a, oh, I like him. It was just at the time of The Beautiful People. I probably bought The Beautiful People on vinyl. I've got it upstairs. I'll bring it down for another stream and show you. I've got The Beautiful People on picture disc vinyl. So it was about the sort of time The Beautiful People came out. Oh, got to the size of your steeple. It's not your fault that you're always wrong. You know, a bit of Marilyn Manson. So I was, you know, a bit that for a year. I was punk first, then goth-esque, and then I phased through that. And do you remember? I've just got standing up because the cat wants to get out the window. So do you want to go out the window? Go on then. I'll be nice to you today, aren't I? That's a treat, isn't it? That's a treat. You get to go out the window. That's a treat. So, I would. What happened was Jonathan Davis and Korn did a song called Adidas, All Day I Dream About Sex, and the funky bass, and they wore Adidas jackets. So all of a sudden, Adidas, all of a sudden, Adidas became the crossover fashion wave for both freaky, gothy, rocky style, skater punk, and the sort of urban high street chavvy gabba dance music. So I got the same zip up Adidas, you know, bomber jacket. I wore that to the goth clubs, and then as we progressed out to being more like, I suppose as I got older and interacted more with a street element, I became more, you know, street codified, and same jacket, same jacket. So that was cool. Yeah, what we're doing today. Having said all that, I'm Grave. I don't know where this has come from. Grave Kipper. I just really enjoyed the name. I wrote it down the other day. I was doing names in Team Fight Manager, and one of the people in Team Fight Manager was called Grave. I think it was like that. Grave Kipper, and it was supposed to be Keeper, obviously, wasn't it? Like Grave. I'm enjoying using the keyboard these days. Grave Keeper. It was supposed to be Grave Keeper, and I just thought, no, Kipper. I'll show you what a kipper is. You'll like this. Why would you like a kipper? Kipper. No one likes a kipper. Kipper. Kippers. Images. Kippers. I've eaten a few in my time. Not anymore though, because I'm, you know, gainfully vegan. Let's get your image of a big. This is what you recognise them to be like. Either this. I'll go web browser, so it's big. There's two kinds of kipper here that you will definitely recognise as a kipper, like classic kipper. What kind of move it? Move the browser. No, that's a kipper. That's a kipper. They've took the fish. I think it's a mackerel. They sliced it down the middle from head to tail. Sliced it down, folded it out, flattened it out. Then they hang that chuffer up in a smoking hut. It's a sort of thing you might see in Alaska. I don't know if they have mackerel in Alaska. I'm not that educated on what kind of fish are native to Alaska, but I know what kind of fish are native to around here. And it's mackerel. They smoke it, and then you call it a kipper. Because it's smoked, you call it a kipper. It's madness, isn't it? It's madness. And then when they're in the packaging for the supermarket, they look like that. You took the head off. You don't see the head now. It's just a flattened out smoked fish. Usually comes with a little knob of butter like that on top. Kipper fillets. You can eat them raw like that. You can open that package and just start chomping on the smoked cold fish. You can just eat that like a candy bar. But also it's traditional to have it for breakfast, and you'd have it as part of a fish-based. You have that on a bit of brown bread. Bit of brown bread and that's like your fish-based breakfast. Or look, here's Boris Johnson holding a kipper. That's Boris Johnson holding a kipper. That's true. That's not photoshopped. Look, there's loads of different pictures of it. Boris Johnson holding a kipper. It's also the sort of name that, this is true, we give that, call dogs kipper, a bit like Skipper. But the kipper itself, why are we doing the kipper? The kipper itself is also used in a traditional dish called kedgeree. Kedgeree. Now, kedgeree is actually an Indian word and an Indian dish, but because we went out to India and sort of took over their country, not me, the British, sometimes, I too often hog it, because what a kedgeree would entail is some rice. See, rice, that's Indian, isn't it? Some sort of fragrant herbage, a few peas, and kippers, smoked kippers, and an egg. Usually have a bit of egg. That's a breakfast, that is. You wouldn't believe that, but that's a traditional British breakfast. Only traditional because we went out not traditional from way back, only since we went out to India. But that's, what they ate at the Raj, dining tables of the Raj, for breakfast, bit of kedgeree. Posh people, usually posh people. You can imagine the Queen might be offered kedgeree as part of her morning breakfast. But day-to-day people like you and I, you and me and you and me, just me. Day-to-day people like I, that doesn't sound right. Day-to-day people like me, day-to-day people like you and me, we would eat like toast or cereal or something normal. But like if you were at if it was your wedding breakfast, or if you were at a restaurant and you paid top dollar and you're on your holiday, might be offered a bit of kedgeree. It might go on some menus, a brunch menu, bit of kedgeree. That's where the kipper is most commonly found in a restaurant setting. Otherwise, you won't see it. You're not likely to see like fried kipper on a restaurant menu. You have it in kedgeree, but just getting the old kipper out and slapping that on the plate and having that with a bit of brown bread, not so popular these days. I despise peas. Oh, yeah. Do you know what? Got something in common there. I have never been a fan of the pea. It's like the baked bean. It's pleasant to look at, but once you pop it in your mouth, it's a bit soft, isn't it? A bit soft and, yeah. But to be honest, over the years, I've started eating them because when you're vegan, you enjoy vegetables a bit more than you ever used to. They got crunch, they got sweetness. Depends how you do it. But if you get them out of my allotment, if our mum gets the peas out of the allotment, nice and crunchy and sweet. So there are some positives there. What are we doing today? Right, what we're doing today is important for what I'm supposed to be doing. So I need to get on with, what's that? Oh, that's the downloading of the video. That's the Commonwealth Games. Did you know, this is useless information. This is not what we're doing today, move the web browser. Did you know that they're going to include esports at the Commonwealth Games? That'll be good. It's in Birmingham. I'm going to try and get and have a look. It's next year. Oh, it's this year. I better get my finger out. What we're doing today is, why do we enjoy visual search? That's what we need to do. I've come on here. 17 minutes of chuff. 17 minutes of chuff. 17 minutes of chuff. How have we got to this, capital K? Fuck peas, yeah. Chuff peas off. We should write that we'd make it as a t-shirt. Chuff peas off. There's a give peas a chance. Well, I can't keep doing this. I've got to get on with what I'm supposed to do. No, look, give peas a chance. You have to see this now. Give peas a chance. There's a very famous bit of graffiti in Chance. There's a very famous bit of graffiti in the UK. I've driven under this bridge a number of times. I think it's on the way to London. Let's get a good picture of it. And I'll shuffle the browser. You see that? Give peas a chance, it says over the... Whee!
You write born to kill on your helmet and you wear a peace button. Was that supposed to be some kind of signal? I think I was trying to suggest something about the duality of man, sir.
That's all my exercise that I get, that is. That's my exercise. Whew, snip, sense and tippies. We'll have to have a look at those and we'll come back to give peas a chance. Some new tippies on the coffee system. Buy me a coffee over here at Coffee. It's written down the bottom there, you can see, look. A tea and a coffee for you in capital K this fine morning. I'm always lurking while I do my working. That's rhyming. You're an MC. Do my working charting. So there you go. Thank you for your tippies. I'm eternally grateful. I still have not managed to get on to the main crux of what we're doing today, but this is give peas a chance. It's on the M25 in London. Some chuffer went up there and wrote some graffiti, and the graffiti says, give peas a chance. It's like give peace a chance, isn't it? I don't know if you've heard that song by John Lennon. All we are saying is give peace a chance. You know that one? Give peace a chance. It's been up there for years, that has. Give peace a chance. And then the Chuffing Council came and cleaned it off. And I mean, it's been there for years. I mean, it's been there for years. It originally was Peas. Just Peas, it was. That was the name of a graffiti artist, Peas. So they went up there and they wrote Peas. And then it was adapted to give Peas a chance. Stayed up there for years. And then look, the council came and Chuffing cleaned it off. What a bunch of... what a bunch of... It's been up there for like 20 years. As long as I can remember. Give Peas a chance. And the council come and cleaned it off. What a load of... the chuffers. So what they did was... They went and repainted the chuffer with a thank you NHS. Thank you to the doctors and nurses. We went and repainted that because there were so many complaints. I don't know if it was the graffiti artist who replaced it or if it was replaced by the council. So it was something that no one can complain about. But in the same style as Give Peas a Chance, you know, it's there. We all know it's supposed to say Give Peas a Chance. But now it says thank you NHS. We'll accept that. We'll deal with that. We can handle that. Give Peas a Chance. It's a famous piece of graffiti from the UK. There's one on the way to Birmingham. When you ride the train to Birmingham, I don't know if it's still there because I haven't ridden the train so long. But on the way, it's like that, big letters along the back of some factory buildings. And it just simply says, Velvet Underpants. It's brilliant. Really big letters, Velvet Underpants. So, yeah, okay. I think it's the name of a band. I'm pretty sure it's the name of a band. See if it Velvet Underpants graffiti. Look, it comes up graffiti, Birmingham. Where's the Velvet? Oh, it is the name of a band, yeah, it is the name of a band. But where is the graffiti? Surely it's not been knocked down, has it? I don't know. It's not coming up with a straight up. I'm surprised by that. Maybe it's gone. Oh, look, a sad day RIP, this one. Maybe they knocked it down. Sad day. Yeah, they knocked down the building with the Velvet Underpants on it. So what we're doing today, what we're doing today is I have been writing a script. Capital K, you inspired. The last episode of this stream that will be live on YouTube today, in a bit. The last episode of this stream, I did 3 hours of talking about the script for our art review of, I want to say Breath of the Wild, but it's not, it's Pokemon. I've written it all. It's this long. We wrote it together on stream yesterday. I'm really going to copy and paste this. I wonder if I'm allowed. I mean, it is my stream, so copy. I wonder if I'm allowed to do this. Reach the character limit of 500. Oh, right, okay. So I'm not allowed to put the whole script at all. In fact, I've only got as far as the first paragraph. Right, but we did a whole stream about this, and I've written my script and its notes and its script, and we're at the point where I need to finish a couple of bits of the script. One is, I have said that I'm sure that there's something to do with, where is it? Here. How the leveling system works feels. I love grinding up XP levels. I need to research dopamine loops, visual target recognition and capture success, primitive survival brain, incremental leveling, collecting. Why do people like collecting things? Pokemon collector. How the combat feels, the vegan aspect and stuff. Okay, we're on to something else there. But what I wanted to do here is I wanted to do some research because in the Pokemon, we're running around and we're catching these Pokemon, yeah? What's going on here? Why is my browser not? That's better. We're running around and we're catching the Pokemon. And I thought to myself, what is underlying this game that I'm enjoying? And I know the obvious first thing of the Pokédex, you give me a list. Give me a book with a list of birds and I will have to go out and tick off every bird once. I'm like that sort of, when I was a kid, I didn't go and tick off all the birds. But you know what I'm saying? On Tony Hawk's, give me a list of targets a list of collect 10 signs. I'll go and collect 10 signs, won't I? Do you know what I mean? Collect 10 signs. I'll collect 20. Chuff you. I'm going to collect 40 and only select the top 10 for for your approval, for your consideration. So I know that I like collecting things. And then I also know that people like collecting things. Like they like collecting cups and hats and all sorts, don't they, in the real world? I wonder if we can find some scientific study to say that humans like collecting things. Hoarding, it goes too far. Hoarding. We're not going to do a full video on hoarding, but I just wanted something to say. In the script, I'm going to say I really enjoy the collecting and the incremental leveling up. This is probably because, as a human being, my brain is predisposed to enjoy collecting and leveling up. Here is a study that says that. Let's move on. I don't want to make a huge video about it. I just want a little thing. So it's important that this doesn't dominate like days and days of research and production. Like it's already, at the moment, we're already 25 minutes in and I haven't even started talking about it. So I just want to grab a couple of little, science backups for the sort of ideas that we're sharing. And another one of those ideas is, like was written here, I need to research dopamine loops, visual target recognition and capture success. Because I know, just off the top of my head, that, I know that just off the top of my head, that we have some sort of instinctive, I know that we like target. Like the way our visual cortex works is that you see the world, all these wavelengths go into your eyes and the cones turn it into information that your brain you see it like the Jurassic Park, like the do you remember Jurassic Park when the T-Rex, it was like, don't move, it can't see you, don't move, it can't see you. And then you've got Where's Wally, and like you'll sit there for hours looking for Wally on the Where's Wally. We as humans are like evolved to be able to look at the world, see the movement as a thing, spot that, see that. Where's the tiger in the jungle? Are you going to get eaten by the tiger, or can you see it through the plant material, even though it's slightly camouflage? See the tiger in the jungle. Like we're pre-programmed to kind of enjoy. And when you're growing up, when you're a kid, like you do these games like spot the birdie, or pin the tail on the donkey. Well, that's the blindfold thing. But you know what I mean? Like we've got something in our brains. Dopamine loop was my nickname in high school. We've got something in our brains that enjoys the visual target recognition and success of. I put capture because we're talking about Pokemon throwing the ball and capturing, but I kind of mean like almost like Airwolf. Like, do you remember Airwolf, the computer game? Almost like Airwolf. Lock on, locked on. Like our brain, our clever brain does that, doesn't it? It's like spotted that. My eyes go. I'm quick with my eyes. Following that thing, following it around. A bit like a dog, you get a sight hound and the dog's like looking. It's something to do with our brains, isn't it? Something to do with the visual cortex. And I imagine there's some sort of positive feedback mechanism from accurately finding Wally, for spotting the speck of gold in the pan, doing that pan thing when they shuffle the dirt in the pan, you spot the gold, from successfully, you know what I'm saying? I don't need to go too far over that. So that's something I want in the what I think happens in Pokemon. It's like a first person shooter in a way. All the other stuff, all the collecting aside, you creep around, you spot the Pokemon in the wild. You see, there's a I don't know the names of any of the Pokemon. There's a Pikachu. Bidoof. I remember Bidoof. And Krabby. Horsey. Rock Monster. Geodude. Let's say Geodude. So you spot the Geodude amongst the rocks. Oh, good. I'll get my Pokeball out. I'll creep up on it. And then you targeting. You've got a little target mechanism. It's like a first-person shooter, a very gentle first-person shooter, because you throw that Pokeball and it hits. And then you've got a little bit of gambling. I know that like chance and random chance. You always. I should put that in the script. Actually, I didn't mention that in the script. Random chance. Why do people like collecting things? I'll put it there. Random chance, because we haven't even got to the why do people like collecting things bit yet, and it can't get too long. Random chance. I know that bit goes on. Oh, what am I going to get? Never know what, will it go in the ball or won't it? It's a bit of, but the actual act of discovery, search, recognition, target capture, as in like brain say that is the target, let's go. And then the first person shooter aspect, and like I say, it is a very gentle first person shooter. You throw that ball, very gentle first person shooter. Now when I do the research on why do we like first person shooters, all I get is violence. It's like, why do people like shooting people? Why do people like being violent to people? It's like killing people, yay. What I'm asking really of Google is, why do people like the act of targeting, recognizing, clicking yes, clicking shoot, whatever the act is that you follow it with, capturing in a Pokeball? Why do people like that targeting mechanic? In so many games, you use the thumbstick to move your little target and target the thing. Why do we like that? And it's very hard to get a straight answer on that, because it just goes all about violence. So what I've got up to at the moment, we're nearly there now. We're nearly into half an hour. We're nearly into talking about it. So what I thought I'd do is, because I'd usually do this offline, but what I've done is I've done all the discussion up to now. I've written the script online, as yesterday's stream. I wrote the script and just told you about it. You had to put up with me talking. And then now I'm on to the bit that I would do offline, like the research. So I thought, why not just turn on the, the stuff, and let's do it. I'm finding it already... 30 minutes in, I realised the reason I don't just turn on all this stuff and do it is because I don't get it done. I haven't got anything done for half an hour. Whereas before, I was quite busy working. So, why is it important to study visual research? I got that. I got this one. Visual search is a goal-oriented activity that regularly occurs in daily life and involves the active scanning of the environment in order to locate a particular target among irrelevant non-targets or distractors. I mean, that's what it is. Great. And then you scroll down on this one and it's got like, oh, whoa. Memory and visual search. Since visual search tasks are typically extended in time, the role of memory becomes an issue. During visual search, the attention mnemonic template contains one or more target features or objects, while spatial cueing, it contains a location. There's a high degree of overlap in the underlying brain anatomy between visual search and spatial cueing. All right. Learning and modulating spatial probabilities in virtual environments. Visual behavior in simple two-dimensional arrays is sensitive to the spatial statistics of target distributions. Well, now we're getting confusing. Saccades and visual search. Saccadic eye movements direct the foveal high-resolution region of the eyes to a series of locations. This article considers how the brain programs these movements. The eyes are guided by information picked up in peripheral vision, and processing occurs throughout the entire visual field to attenuate items that are visually similar to the target and generate a salience map from which the destination of each saccade is selected. Well, that's not going to make it into the script, is it? Because that is so... I can generally get what they're saying. They're saying that the way you sort of scan, I'm guessing cicada, I would have to, this is the whole thing. It's a book. It's not a book, it's an article. Encyclopedia of Neuroscience. I don't know, saccadic. Now I'm guessing that means like scanning and... Scanning... a rapid intermittent eye movement as that which occurs when the eyes fix on one point after another in the visual field. So scanning. So why didn't they just say scanning? Because I got to read this, try and understand the chuffing thing. Where's it gone? Visual search there. I got to read this and try and understand it and rewrite it for the script. So we know that scanning is actually to do with, they're saying, something to do with your peripheral vision, and then you sort of put things in. Just get rid of that. We can't put that in. Visual search experiments are designed to investigate detection of a target in the presence of multiple non-target elements, known variously as distractors or reference elements. Detectability depends on the nature of the target. Okay. So there's some heavy science here, and none of it is really helping me. In fact, it's getting too confusing, and it's not really saying what I want. What I want it to just say is that we scan, we locate, and then something in our brain says, well done. That's what I want. Just that. Just whichever study, I could then say, as referenced by Sotos 1989, when they said the second problem was bounded visual search, the recognition with knowledge. I could then say a bit of this posh language, but the first thing I need to say is we see something, we recognise what it is, our brain says that's right, gives you a little bit of dopamine kick or whatever it does. So, how am I going to... But this is what we're doing. We're doing the research. That's me playing Pokemon. This is... Where's... on Big Face, there's Gravekipper. Gravekipper's only on the Big Face. The cat's meowing at the window now. I'll never get anything done. Come in, cat. Come in, cat. There's the cat now. I'm Ganja Kid. I'm Gravekipper. For a bit, for as long as I feel like it. Be Gravekipper as well if I want. That's fine. It's fine. Could be Gravekipper as well if I want. Gravekipper if I want. Let's copy that. And let's make sure it's on the web browser as well, because you don't want to be Gravekipper on one thing and not t'other, do you? There you go, Gravekipper. So we've got here, look, visual search. Why is it so I asked Google. I found visual search and I've been asking Google. What I just asked it, I was asking it originally, the way I got to this one was I asked Google, visual search targeting brain. That's what I asked it, visual search targeting brain. Let me move it so you can see it. Move the browser so I can see it, I can't see it. No point, you can't see it. Alright. It's chuffing. Steady on. Steady on. Visual search targeting brain is what I typed. And I got all this like proper hardcore, all that stuff that I was just showing you. I can't decipher it to get what I want out of it, and there's so much of it. So instead I typed, why do we enjoy visual search tasks? And what it told me was, what's the purpose of visual search? Well, that's not what I asked you, you truffer. Google's broken these days. It doesn't do what it does is it looks at the words you've typed and it says, what's the most popular thing out of about 5 million results? What's the most popular thing? So it shows you the most and that's not what you asked. I didn't want the most popular generic answer. I want a specific thing. So it's one of those 5 million. It's in there somewhere. Visual search is a goal-oriented activity that occurs regularly in daily life and involves the active scanning of the environment in order to locate a particular target among irrelevant non-targets or distractors. We just heard that, didn't we? Do you remember? That's what we just said. I said it here. Got it out of there. I got it. Google's just serving me up what I just found out myself. That I wasn't right, wasn't enough, wasn't exactly what I was looking for, was only one of many complex things that I've just spent, before I turned on this computer web browser thing, streamer, before I turned on the streamer, I was just doing this quietly on my own for about half an hour to an hour, reading through that. So I already know that, you chuffer. Well, I don't really know it. It's not sunk in. You couldn't sit me an exam on it, but I just read through it. Give me the same answer, you chuffer. People also ask, why is it important to study visual search? Now, they ask that, but I didn't. But what was strange that did come up that I thought was amazing was this one. Is visual search really like foraging? Now, I didn't think to do that. So now Google's throwing me off task, throwing me off track. But, is it really like foraging? And that made me think, hang on, foraging. So I have to put this in the Pokemon collecting, run incredible love, visual target recognition, primitive survival brain, foraging. A note on foraging. Now I don't know how this is going to fit in the script. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it, we're going to do it together, and then we'll try and film it, and if it doesn't work out, we'll just cut it. That's the beauty of editing and spending time and effort on things that you cut and no one ever sees. Foraging, a note on foraging. So And this is actually cool doing this, actually, I realise, because there are so many of these things, these little things like a note on foraging, that actually do get cut from a lot of the media that I produce that no one ever sees, that I just call research. And when I went up to the job centre the other day and they said, prove that you, how much do you work a week? On self-employed, how much do you think you work a week? And I said, well, last night I was working till gone midnight, but you might not call it work because some of it was playing Pokemon and another bit was sitting in the garden writing. Like, you know, it was work though. This is work. Some of it doesn't even make it into the videos. Well, now it is a video and now it is the stream. So I win both ways. Foraging is, it's kind of what Pokemon is in a way, isn't it? Look. In the UK, there's actually, and probably in America as well, now I see those pictures of bears. Bears forage, don't they? But in the UK, there's like this idea of hedgerow herbs and wild foods. When I was in Sweden, they were picking the blueberries. Foraging, you know, it means going out into the countryside, into the natural environment, finding yourself a few nuts and berries or, you know, whatever else is edible, and you just sort of find it and pick it and put it in your basket and then you eat it. It's different from farming, of course, isn't it? Farming is you planted it, you grew it, you pick it. This is, it exists naturally, you find it. It's called foraging, and it is still very popular. There are lots of people who get tuned into nature. There was a guy on our telly about 10 years ago who was like, oh, look at all the free food in nature. Isn't it good? And it sort of, you know, picked up its fashion. It's a bit hipstery now, a bit fashionable. But even I've done this. I would not consider, having seen the amount of food that you can gather from nature in a day, I would not consider making it my primary source of dietary sustenance. But some people do, and I'm not dissing them. It's just that there's a lot of herbs and a few mushrooms, some berries. It doesn't seem like there's enough to sustain me unless I went really deep into it. And even then, you're going to eat some things that you might not think is a really nice dinner, like this basket full of leaves, that, you know, you have to because you haven't got any other sources of protein or fibre. So, you know, good luck with your foraging. What you get is what you get, isn't it? So anyway, bears forage though, and they do all right, don't they? Anyway, the point being that foraging is enjoyable. I'll tell you, I've eaten things. I've been out with the dog and I've gone, oh look, that's a bit of fat hen. I'll pick that. Fat hen is a fat hen. It's a little hedgerow herb. It looks like this. You know, when you're walking in the countryside, it just looks like a plant growing in the ground, doesn't it? It doesn't look anything special. It just looks like one of these other rubbishy plants that grows on it. But in the right season, picking. Whee!
You right born to kill on your helmet and you wear a peace button. Was that supposed to be some kind of sick joke? I think I was trying to suggest something about the duality of man, sir.
Thanks for your tippies. Oh, it's effort when I have to wave my arms for the tippies, you know. It's proper effort when I have to wave my arms. Thank you for the tippies. Tippies mean chippies mean I eat. Bought me a coffee. Thank you very much. Thank you. No message with that. Oh, research for why we collect. Piaget cognitive stages of child development. Concrete operational stages when we've been... Thank you very much. See, it was much better. I remember Piaget. I've heard of him because I did English language, and he, like you say, cognitive stages of child development. I learned about how the English language was developed, how we developed speaking, how we do develop our language when I was at college. So it's just like, you know, ding, it reminds me of something that I used to do. Piaget, yeah, I'm copying that. I'm putting that into the script. Collecting, why do we like collecting things? Put it in there. Nice. Thank you. That's exactly the sort of stuff we should be putting into this bit of the... It's an art chat, but it's going to be more than an art chat, isn't it? It's going to be like why we love Pokemon. Deep. Going deep on Pokemon. Thank you very much for that. That's good. I've got back. Well, I got confused now because I went back to my other thing that I had open and it's Fat Hen. And I'm like, why am I looking at Fat Hen? So we like foraging, don't we? We like foraging. I'll get back to Piaget after I've finished saying this. We like foraging. I was only using Fat Hen as an example of something I've eaten. I don't need to talk any further about Fat Hen. In Pokemon, you are foraging, aren't you? You're going out, you're finding little mushrooms, you're finding little candies, you're finding little things. It sits well with foraging, and that goes back. Is visual search really like foraging? Abstract. The visual search paradigm provides a controlled and easy to implement experimental situation in which to study the search process. However, little work has been carried out in humans to investigate the extent to which traditional visual search tasks are similar to a more general search of foraging. So this is like a paper, University of Bristol. This is someone's dissertation, I think. And look, an example of a participant checking the film container. They're doing a search task on web browser. Let's move the browsing. They're finding a marble in a canister. Search task. That's an experiment. There's quite a lot there, isn't there? I'm trying to find the conclusion at the bottom to say, because what I just want is, we enjoy foraging. The present study illustrates some important similarities between search and foraging, but also highlights a difference. The difference is explained in terms of different task demands. Further studies will be required to make a more detailed comparison. So it doesn't actually tell you the... It doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you, does it? I was hoping it was going to tell me the thing I wanted. Didn't tell me. Because I could say, well, you know, we really enjoy foraging in nature because this study says that we enjoy foraging in nature because it provides a dopamine thing. And isn't Pokemon just like foraging? But now I can't completely say that because our study doesn't conclusively say anything. Our study says we think we know we like foraging, but we haven't exactly determined whether it's the same as enjoying a search task or if a search task and foraging are separate. Great. Let's have a look. Let's put this on the back burner then, maybe. I don't know. Do I put it on the back burner? I need just one. Why do we enjoy visual search tasks? I just need one. Maybe it comes out of the Piaget. Maybe it comes out of this. Oh God. Piaget collecting, and it's watches, of course. So Piaget child development collecting. So, you know, do you know what? I should be on all here and get the actual. I've just discovered something. You go on here and you get the words. Yeah, and that's good, isn't it? Browsing. Move it. You get words. That's good. You want the words. But if you go on images, anything that can be fitted into an easy to understand graphic, like a table, has been already made into a table for me. So I can use that instead. Maybe if I go back to why do we enjoy visual search tasks and look at the images, it will direct me to something else. You could go deep down with this. Look, there's one, the pop-out effect. You could go deep down with this, couldn't you? You could keep... It turns out visual search is such a deep topic that there's like a lot, isn't there? There's like a lot. Because all these are different visual search articles that have got a little thing with them. Types of visual search tasks and tile matching. And don't you, like, this is weird as well. I find this so weird. Looking at those little visual search tasks, you don't know what they are, but automatically I'm kind of like, oh, I want to know. I can spot the red one in that. So is it the red ones I'm looking for in this one or the green ones? Or what is the task? Oh, it's like a puzzle that I'm willing to solve. I want to be a willing victim for their tasks. No, we didn't get any help there. But Piaget child review, sensory-motor stage, birth to 2 years old, rapid cognitive growth, development of object permanence, explores the world using senses, symbolic language emerging, Pre-operational stage, 2 to 7. Egocentric. So let me break this down, and it's just really... like, this is not entirely relevant to our Pokemon. Like, the entire child development cycle is not relevant to our Pokemon, but I can't help but go through this entire piece of information and just talk it through. I just have to. Gravekipper, Ganji Kid, now called Gravekipper as well. I'm going to have more than one name. I'm going to have multiples, AKAs. Strafe, True Binaural ASMR, Ganji Kid, Scott, Gravekipper. Gravekipper, new name. That could be my new rap name. My new DJ Sterling I am. DJ Sterling, MC Strafe. I know how to behave. I know which fork I should stick your eye with. Other MCs are trapped on traffic islands because they can't cross the road to get home without somebody's hand to hold. My brain won't let me move on. Let's do them all. From birth to age 2, children have rapid cognitive growth. They develop object permanence, which means they realise that before they develop object permanence, the object exists and now it doesn't exist. If it's under the table, it doesn't exist. If it's behind my back, it doesn't exist. Which is why children like so much when you play peekaboo, like that. In Poland, do you know this? This is funny. In England, we cover our faces. Peekaboo, like that. And the child's like, where have you gone? Now you're here. It's amazing. It's like a magic trick until you develop object permanence. In Poland, they cover your face. You're the child. They go, peekaboo. Hey. Peekaboo, like that, and they cover your face. It's just different culture. So until you develop object permanence, you don't know something really exists outside of your visual confirmation. They explore the world using their senses. Yep, you get that. It's symbolic language is emerging. So knowing that something means something else. An apple is an apple. A symbolic. I think that's what that means. Let me find out. I have to know. That's what I should know because it's the language bit, which I did actually study. Symbolic language. Character or images to represent concepts. Yeah. So art, mathematics. Okay, I get it. An apple's an apple because you can see it and it's an apple. But you can't see mathematics. Well, you can. You can see the puzzles, sums written down. But you can't see the concept of... you can't see the concept of there are so many concepts that you can't see and now I can't think of any of them. I love conceptual art because it's the things you can't see. That's what's so good about it. Like the concept of shame, like you can't see it, you could symbolically represent it, and understanding that the language is a symbol that represents it, that symbolic language emerges probably later than birth, probably more at the age of 2. Pre-operational stage, that was the sensory motor stage. You're learning to work your function, your arms and legs. Pre-operational stage, 2 to 7. Egocentric, you're very centered around me, I, my, because you're learning that you exist as an ego. Ego being a Freudian concept, a term, the id, the ego, meaning your sense of self. So you learn that you're not, that you are unique and an individual, and you develop concepts of identity from 2 to 7 years. Symbolic representation, we just talked about that. Being able to, so now being able to say, I'm sad. Sad is like a blue cloud. Being able to represent the symbolic language you've learned, the symbolic concepts, as something else. Being able to connect those things and make a representation so you can outwardly show that you can. You can outwardly show that you can conceptualize these things by providing an image that is an abstract that embodies the conception. You get rapid language development. You learn a lot of words. Concrete operational stage, 7 to 11. You understand mathematical concepts, time, space, and quantity. Concepts are attached to concrete situations, like how much do I have and where's that gone. Formal operational stage, 12 years up. You think logically and hypothetically, and you understand the abstract. Wow. Do you know what? I know that when I was 2 to 7, I was thinking logically and hypothetically and understanding the abstract. So I don't think that is limited to 12 years and up. I'm pretty sure I knew that concepts were attached to concrete situations before I was 7. Maybe that's just me. But I can't remember exactly because I was young and now I'm older. That's child development. See, now I've lost I would do this in research. I would do this. I'd get confused and distracted and go off on a bit of a thing. What we were saying we were looking for was concrete operational. It's when we begin collecting. Right. So concrete operational is 7 to 11. We begin collecting. And I'll go away from the pictures back to all. Just now, it should be, I've written Piaget child development collecting. So it should just come up with the collecting bit, shouldn't it? But no. Object permanence is massive. What comes up the most? What do people mostly look for? Jesus, can't you just show me something collecting? Object permanence again. Related searches. That's the main one that everyone knows. See, I even knew it without any research. It's the main one that people know. But I want to know about collecting. And so it was concrete. Goes in it as well. Concrete stage, a major turning point, beginning of logical operation thought, gaining ability, conversation, reversibility, class inclusion. Class inclusion, that's, you create different classes. These are green things, these are blue things, these are the water Pokemon, these are the earth Pokemon. So actually, Pokemon might be a good learning tool for somebody around the ages of 7 to 11, mightn't they? Because before that age, you don't have the concepts of class. Not in terms of high class, low class, but in terms of this is a green one, this is a blue one. So Piaget, I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put class inclusion. So here's the script. It's concrete operational stage when we begin collecting. I'm going to put Piaget recognised that during the concrete operational phase of our childhood development, and I'm not going to say 7 to 12 years, but I'm going to put it in the script as a note, and write text. So what that means to me when I write that in my little note, it means that because I don't want to say so many things, I want it to be concise. Certainly with this sort of stuff, because we're talking about Pokemon and just throwing in a little bit of science. And if you then get interested in the science as a viewer and say, oh, Piaget, class inclusion, what's that? I'll put a little link, won't I? So then you can learn things, but we're not doing a Piaget video. So that's the way it balances out. So what I put, 7 to 12 years text, I'm going to say, Piaget recognised during the concrete operational phase of our childhood development, we begin to form ideas about class groups and collections. Just as a little, that's right, class groups and collections. And then on the screen it's going to say, when I say operational phase of our childhood development, I would probably say on the screen 7 to 12 years. I could put that on the screen. I can say it in the edit as well, so it's in brackets. I can say for our childhood development from 7 to 12 years, we begin to form ideas about class groups and collections. But I don't have to say things because I'm making a video. I can put them on the screen. So that's something to remember when you're writing a script for video, is some things could be, you don't just want it all to be words that I'm saying, you want some of it to be things that are shown visually. And the beauty of a camera is that instead of me saying an apple is green, I could just show you a picture of an apple. There's an apple, go. Don't have to do any description. Show not tell is such a big value of cinema. Show not tell. That's why when you're watching a film and they say, oh, I'm so-and-so's brother, and I've come over because I'm doing da-da. It's like exposition, well, you don't have to tell me. Why are you telling me this? No one would talk like that in the real world. Show, not tell. Show, not tell. So I don't do a lot of show, not tell. I do a lot of tell, don't I? Because I'm talking in my videos, but show, not tell is still appropriate. So I've written that there anyway. Class groups and collections. We begin to form our ideas. We're sure about that. What I really want to know is if we get a dopamine kick from Look at all them legitimate interests. Turn that off. Why would anyone legitimately consent to having these things? It doesn't make sense to me. Article stages, schemas, adaptation, implications, evaluation, Piaget versus Vygotsky references. 4 stages, concrete operational, sensory motory, pre-operational, concrete operational. During this stage, we think logically about concrete events, concept of conservation, understanding although things may change in appearance, certain properties remain the same. During this stage, children may mentally reverse things. A ball can return to its... A plasticine ball could mentally return to its original shape. During this stage, children also become less egocentric and begin to think about how other people might think and feel. Empathic senses. This stage is called concrete because children can think logically much more successfully if they can manipulate real, open brackets, concrete materials or pictures of them. So you learn this skill by actually physically doing it, and then you start to be able to do it in your brain without touching the physical thing. Which is why, again, Pokemon comes in exactly there, doesn't it? Pictures of them. By learning to sort these things into groups on the Game Boy, when you put down the Game Boy, you've now learned to be able to mentally sort things into groups. It's actually a very important this is really good learning I'm doing here. It's really interesting. It's a very important stage of our development. And these stages of development require... They don't require it. I think, I've got to be careful what I say here because I'm not... Would you stop your chuffing? Got to be careful what I say here because I'm not actually a scientist, am I? But some parents would enhance these stages of development through education, through cues, through stimuli, toys, games, lessons. Some might not. I don't know if, as a human being, you go through this phase completely organically without guidance. I don't think you do. I think child development is stunted or retarded, using the word in the correct way, is retarded through I can tell you the answer to that, what I'm thinking there. I don't know the answer yet. Is child development stunted or retarded, without input? And I can tell you why there is an answer to this. Wild feral children. It's really hard because you're not going to do a study on someone, are you, where you remove them from their natural process of development. Like, you're literally not going to do that. It would be unethical. This is one of the aspects of science that we hold in high regard, is that it's kept ethical. It didn't used to be. They threw monkeys in horrible cages and kept them in horrible... It didn't used to be. It didn't always have to be. There have been some unethical scientific studies, but hopefully now we have a bit of a code of ethics. But so because you can't ethically, or you should not choose to remove a child from its natural upbringing and parentage and force it to live feral to find out if the normal stages of cognitive development will come to fruition without any input. You're not going to do that, are you? You're just not going to do it. It's just wrong. So, but what you do instead is you look for examples in history, because it's more likely history now, hopefully. Hopefully it's historical, but there are still some cases of modern day feral children, aren't they? Look like Jeannie. Poor Jeannie. And this is something that if you want to, again, I'm not going to do it. We're not doing a full episode on feral children now. Maybe we could one time, maybe it's interesting. I know this one as well. I've seen this one because I used to study sociology, psychology at uni. So I've seen and investigated these sort of things. What can happen is children who spend a lot of time, or indeed, like, remember Romulus and Remus, who started Rome? That's the same story. And this one, just put this one up. Children who inadvertently or even deliberately spend so much time with animals and not with humans throughout their developmental processes don't actually develop as they should. Quite often they display animalistic tendencies. A lack of language is one major thing. An inability to walk properly is another. They choose to move around on all fours quite often. They have because they've not learn to walk upright in the way that we would teach a child to. They have, and also because of often these children are going through poor diet and poor growth of bones because of that. But quite often what am I trying to say is they're disabled through. I'm trying to say when you don't walk upright properly, your bones don't grow in the right way, and then you walk around on your hands and knees all your life, and you end up all bent over and grown funny. Because I'm not a scientist and I don't know what the word is for that, but that sort of stuff goes on. Yeah, feral children. That's the concept. I mean, those aren't all pictures. That's not a picture of a real girl raised by wolves. That's just some. That's probably Getty Images, isn't it? For your, for your. What do you call them? What do they call them? My brain's starting to fail me. When you do pictures and you put them up online so other people can buy them, and they're like backup pictures. Why can't I remember that? Photograph. Oh, just non-copyright images for videos. I mean, what's it called? That thing. Stock photography. There you go. Why couldn't I remember that? I swear my brain's going. So yeah, a lot of those pictures were stock photography, but there are still some wild feral children, aren't there, that exist. There have been in recent history some feral children who were discovered feral, and obviously we tried to do our best to help them after that. There have been some notable examples in recent history, recorded history, photographically recorded history, medically studied, and that has allowed us to say that if you don't encourage these stages of operation, these development stages for a child, if you neglect, that's the word I'm looking for, isn't it? Neglect a child, they might not develop these things just organically, naturally themselves. They do need to be helped through education, and the better standard those educational helpings are, the better quality of environment that the young person is in, maybe the better they become at thinking in general. You know what I mean? In thinking in general. That's a vagary that I'm saying there, but it's the truth, isn't it? Important to understand. Do you know what? I've run out of pokey music now. I'm just going to put the pokey music on, but I've got another point to make here. It's not part of the research, not part of Pokemon, but it's not even. I'm preaching. I don't know who I'm preaching to here, but I just have to say it. This is why it's so important to always give your time to a child. I don't preach. You know this. Snippy's there giving time to children right now. But if a child asks you a question, stop what you're doing and just the adults can wait. The child's asked a question, and I know it sounds like, well, hang on, you're putting this child up above a, and like you'll spoil them, you'll make them think they're so important when they're not. They're just a naughty child. But actually, I mean, I know that I don't interact with children that often, but in my hairdressing salon, I used to have parents bringing their kids in for a haircut, or whatever. We'd be chatting, the two adults, and the child would be like, like we're chatting, and no. This is the most important person, this young person, because they're going through these learning stages, these concrete operational stages. Between, say, ages 7 and 11 is the ages where these kids are most asking the questions, isn't it? What's this? Why do you do that? How does that happen? Why? Learning to think logically about concrete events, understanding concepts like conservation, and although things may change, certain things remain the same. Mentally reversing. During this stage, they become less egocentric and they think about how other people might think and feel. So it's so important for us to fuel and encourage. And we're not going to turn them into wild feral children by ignoring them. No. But each opportunity that a young... I don't know if you remember being a young child ever and saying to some adult, like, I don't know, you might have been at McDonald's, why do the straws go around like that on the do you remember the straw thing? And you just go, why do they, or whatever. And there might have been an occasion where an adult said, oh, just shut up, I've got to get on with pushing the trolley or whatever. And you know, all right, don't get to find that one out, or just shut up, you know. Versus, you might remember when someone took the time to, I'm thinking, I remember I was at the library once when I was a little kid, and there were the little stickers on the books, and they said 0.53241. And I was like, what are these numbers? And the librarian said, well, each book's got a number, and the books that are like about dinosaurs go there, and they're the 5. And they're the 5s, and then these books go. And I remember spending like an afternoon in the library getting all the books with the numbers and putting them where they're supposed to go, like, because you've got search task, so it was a sort task. But I didn't know what they were before. The librarian took the time to teach me. It enhanced my life. If those things don't happen, then these enhancements don't happen at that stage. It becomes too late. You might not be as clever. A child might not be as clever, maybe, or they might be more selfish. It's not about trying to make the world better by making less selfish, more intelligent children. What I'm saying is it's your gift as an adult to give your time to a child when they ask a question. It's your opportunity. You are the one that makes the choice. The child can't choose to gain your attention. I mean, children obviously get attention problems, don't they? They end up... what's it doing? Piaget. They end up... I've opened up Google Maps by mistake. Quit Maps. They end up seeking attention if they don't get enough attention. It's not just attention that I'm talking about here. What I'm actually talking about is the small random, who knows when it's happening, sparks of magic in a child's brain that are making these developmental stages happen. Your ability to enhance those things. We've seen that if you don't do it at all, they'll end up like feral. So it is important that adults lead the way in helping them to learn these things. When asked, what is this? What a child's actually doing is it's got this concrete operational stage going on. It's looking for help to solve these problems so they can move on with their development. And if you say, not now, I haven't got the time, or you're just not interested in someone else's kids' questions because, you know, whatever, you're failing the next generation. It's so important to give them your time. Any question, all the time. And I'm thinking back to hairdressing. What's that on the side? What does this comb do? And you sometimes think, would you shut up so I can cut your hair? But they're doing this. They're learning things. Not just the way that we learn things, like I've today learned about this, I'll remember it tomorrow. Not that. Their brains are becoming human adult brains and learning deep how to do things, how to think. We talked so much today about I wish people could think better. I wish people would, I wish we could teach people how to think better so they can make better choices and vote for the right person, or not chuff up this problem, or if we're not available to answer a child's question at any time, we don't make the decision when the child is curious. We have to be able to, no matter what, be patient enough to always answer that curiosity. If it's ever asked of you by a child, always answer that curiosity. Always do your best. You might not be able to answer everything, but always do your best, because it's so important to their development, and it's a limited window that they have to glean these things. And there are people that understand these things, like Snippy Snips. There are people that work in child development, like your teachers. Hopefully you understand this. But then when you're just at the shop and why are all these sweets in these different jars, or whatever it is, whatever it is, I'm not equipped to be taught how to deal with operational child development. I just know that I've got to give them my time when it's asked. That's a good message for anything to do with kids. Always give them your time when asked. Never be too busy for a child to be the priority. Even though they might seem less of a priority, because, like I said, big picture, I'm running the salon, I've got the phone to answer, I need to know what your hair's going to be like off your mum, not what you say, because you're going to tell me you want a Mohican and your mum's going to tell me something else. I need all this to be run adult world, but you're sat in that chair and you're asking questions. Adult world has to go on pause. I have to deal with the questions first. That's the way I see it. I think children are the priority in that way. Yeah, I'm glad I said that. I might be able to edit it out into a little video that will disappear into the internet and get 10 views and no one will ever care. But at least somebody said it. At least somebody said it. Hopefully somebody somewhere will get something out of that. You know, hopefully one of you, it's about, what it's about is it's about creating these ripples and waves and energy building. So hopefully now that I've said it, let me just check. 4 people here now live. Hopefully you can pass that on to somebody else at the right. You don't go beating people up. Hey, you're not doing enough for kids. I was watching a stream today and I think you're not doing enough for kids. No, just when it comes up now, because it's just when it come up, just share that little message. Hopefully between us, 4 of us, the 40 people that watch the video when it's on YouTube, between us, we can create a little ripple. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't change the whole world, because if that little ripple means that I said it, capital K took it on board, mentioned it to his friend in passing, in a week's time at the cafe or something, and that friend then went home and somebody else's niece came round and they spent more time explaining the chess pieces than they previously would have done. It might change that little girl's life and she might become the next eminent chess player of her generation, win all the tournaments. She might have never decided to play chess otherwise. You know, it could be this little strange thing like that, or it could be something really important where a child learns that their voice is important and that people will listen, so they're prepared to speak up about something that previously they thought they had to keep a secret because they were worried about it. You know, it could change that person's life in a different way. So even if it only changes one life, if it only touches one person, this message has to keep being shared and spread. It's what we're looking at here. Concepts, aren't we? Concepts. Like, that's why I love conceptual art so much. Is because I can say all that I've just said. I can cut it into a little video. It's just come out of nowhere. But a piece of conceptual art hopefully can make people realise these things themselves. I think that's what conceptual art does so well. It's not a picture of, it's not a list of things you have to do. It's not a picture, an illustration of. It's some sort of experience that you have with the art that makes you think differently. And I haven't thought of a way to conceptualize this thing as an art piece, of course. I'm just mentioning that I like conceptual art, but it's concepts, isn't it? And that's a big concept. That's a big concept. So yeah, the conceptual operation stage. Web browser. That's the conceptual operation stage, and we've got it in our script. Let me check what I've said about it in our script. Piaget recognised during the concrete operational phase of childhood development, we begin to form ideas about class groups and collections. So it seems Pokemon games are actually a really good learning tool for young players aged 7 to 12, which goes without saying because we know that's the stage of development, so I don't know if I need to repeat that, but I'll put it in the script. For young players aged 7 to 12, exclamation mark, video games are good for you. Video games are good for you, exclamation mark. Well, not you, because you're grown up. Not you. Now, you and I, yeah, that sounds right. I am now just indulging I'm just indulging my joy of collecting. I'm not actually learning how to categorize and class things. For me, it's not a learning process. For me, it's just indulgence. But if you were age of 7 to 11, Pokemon would take on a very different aspect, wouldn't it? Pokemon would take on a very different role in your development. And that's, could you imagine learning how to think almost mathematically in a way, classes and categories and computionally, like a computer. If you're learning to think, and if Pokemon was part of that journey for you, that might be really beautiful, mightn't it? I don't think it was developed with that in mind, but maybe it's just a sort of it wasn't developed with that in mind, but the developers were thinking about the joy they had in catching bugs when they were kids and little critters and, learning what they are. And like I said, filling out that book and ticking off every bird. So maybe they didn't know that's why they were doing it, but they were enjoying it because the concrete operational stage is in some way enjoyable. I certainly remember being a little kid and learning about the different things and I remember dinosaurs being a big thing for me. I don't know if that was the same for you, but when you grow up, you have these things that you get into. And then I learned there were like dinosaurs that did this and dinosaurs that did that. A flying dinosaur, different categories, weren't they? I didn't realise at the time that I was learning to think in categories. Dinosaurs being the big category, but within dinosaur, the subcategories. Same sort of thing as Pokemon, isn't it? I enjoyed it though. I liked, once I got on the idea that, oh, there are these different, let's find out more. Yeah. That's probably part of that development cycle, being less egocentric and thinking about how other people might think and feel. Certainly I'm more interested in what else is out there rather than in here. Interesting. So that's why people like collecting things. Bit of a thing I've written about random chance, open brackets. We all like RNG, really. I mean, there's more to this that I need to do, really. This is the problem now with this script. Is now we've got a little bit of science in there, which is what I wanted. Do I need now to explain the scientific theory behind RNG? If I do, like, because this little section is how the leveling system works, feels. I love grinding up XP. I need to research dopamine loops. This is what I've written. Visual target recognition and capture success. Foraging, a note on foraging. Incremental level collecting. Piaget cognitive stages of childhood development. Piaget recognised during the concrete operational phase of our childhood development. 7 top we begin to. So it seems Pokemon games are actually a really good learning tool for players over top. But again, it's good for you. Why do people like collecting things? How the combat feels. Hasn't come together. It's like a fully readable script yet. Foraging, a note on foraging. I didn't write it down, did I? I just said it out loud what foraging was. Maybe I can cut it from today's episode. I hope to be a lot further forward than this actually now. I kind of feel like, because I've spent an hour doing this with you on stream, we've got something good out of it. We've got this Piaget thing, but also I spent an hour and 20 working on something that if I wasn't live on stream, I would have probably finished by now. Probably not had the same level of, I've got someone else's ideas on board. I wouldn't have had that, so this is better. But also this paragraph has not come together yet, so and I can't, what I'm finding is that I can't keep talking to you and writing at the same time as easily, certainly not on this research development bit. How the leveling system works. I love grinding up XP levels. I'm just going to put, I love grinding up. It's funny how I said grinding up. You should actually grind something down, don't you? You grind something down. Grinding down XP levels doesn't sound right though, because I'm raising the XP level. I'm just going to put grinding up XP, whether it's semantically correct or not. I mean, I love grinding up XP levels. Doesn't everyone? I'm going to write the dopamine loop. I'm just going to write, I love the dopamine loop of grinding up XP levels. Copy, paste. And I'm not going to go into any more detail there because I'm going to take it as read that it is now a almost ubiquitous understood theory that we do something we like, we get a little bit of dopamine in our brain. It might not be that scientifically accurate for this example. I've looked on the internet. You've seen us looking. Why do we enjoy visual search tasks? I have not been able to get the one study that says when you find the thing, you are happied by dopamine. You know, I would like it if it said that. I can't. So instead, I'm just going to say it with no... this is what people do. This is how people do journalism. Instead, I'm just going to say it with no source. Yeah, with no source. State it as a fact because we all know it's a fact. It's one of those facts that we all know, but nobody knows where it came from. Nobody knows the source. Nobody can actually point to the actual piece of science. But we all know it's true. It might not be true. It's called common sense, that is. That's called common sense. I love the dopamine loop of grinding up XP levels. I'm just going to say it. visual target recognition, primitive survival brain. So I'm going to delete that and put Pokemon is a bit like foraging. Pokemon is a bit like foraging. And to make my note on foraging, I'm not going to say all that stuff I said about foraging earlier. What I'm going to say is I'm going to describe Pokemon. See, this is how my brain thinks about an edit now. I'm thinking about how I would visually see it on screen. So I'm going to say Pokemon's a bit like foraging. I go out into a field and hunt for goodies. It might be certain plants with medicinal properties, or even the thrill of discovering and capturing a live Pokemon. So what I've described there is the Pokemon game, but open brackets, images of real life foraging versus Pokemon game. So what I have on the screen is, I will say I go out into a field and hunt for goodies, and the image will have on one side of the screen the Pokemon character going out into the field and hunting for the goodies, and on the other side of the split screen we'll have images of, I'll probably have me. I need to get the B-roll, so now I need to put a note in the script. This is important. When you need B-roll like this, you put star 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 B-roll in capital letters, so that next time I go to the woods I remember. What I need to do now is I need to go to the woods and take some video of me foraging for something, don't I? Finding something. I am not going to get video of me discovering and catching a live Pokemon. But what I'd like to do is to make that vegan point in a subtle way. I'd like to just use some footage of somebody capturing a live animal in the woods, doing a bit of foraging, as they do. So you get the idea. You know, Pokemon's a bit like foraging, and you'll have images. I go out in a field and hunt for goodies. It might be certain plants with medicinal properties, or even the thrill of discovering and capturing a live Pokemon. The process of visual search, I want to write and capture, because part of the process is the actual capturing. It's not just you find Wally, it's that you go and pick him out of the ground, isn't it? But we did that bit of study that proves that you can't quite link those two things. The actual physical task and the enjoyment of the search task mentally have not been scientifically correlated. So I know that I really can't say that. So I'm just going to put this process of visual search and discovery rather than capture. Has been studied extensively by neuroscientists. It's not only something we enjoy, but also an important part of our, I want to say brain development, but I've already said neurological. Neuroscientists, neurological, it's like repetition, isn't it? The process of visual search and discovery has been studied extensively by neuroscientists. It's not only something we enjoy, but also an important part of our neuropsychological development. Just ignore the word that's difficult and just put development. It's not only something we enjoy, but also an important part of our childhood development. Because that should then step into this next bit, which it will say, I'm just moving these things around, just deleting and moving. It's not only something we enjoy, but also an important part of our childhood development. Piaget's cognitive stages of child development, concrete operator stage. I've written a note in front of, I'll just delete that, and then it says, it's not only something we enjoy, but also an important part of our childhood development. Piaget recognised that during the concrete operational phase of our childhood development, 7 to 12 years, we begin to form our ideas about class groups and collections. So it seems Pokemon games are actually really good learning tools for young players aged 7 to 12. Video games are good for you. I like to make that little point at the end. Video games are good for you. I was talking to a friend today on the phone, and I said I played 24 hours of Pokemon last week, and she was surprised that I was playing children's games. And I had to kind of explain that, computer games aren't children's games. Like, it's an adult landscape, isn't it? Think about it. Dark Souls, Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto. I wouldn't put those games in front of children. Like, they're not. It's not a childish pursuit. But I could put a Super Mario game in front of a child, or even Pokemon. Be fine with that. Except it's teaching them to abuse animals. But other than that, So are they childish? Well, film is not a childish medium, is it? But children watch films, don't they? Disney films. It depends what aspect of the medium what part of the spectrum you're engaged with. So, is football a children's game? It's played by grown-ups professionally, but kids go out and play football. And if you said, what am I about to do now? I'm going to go and kick the ball around outside of the front of the house, like playing football. You might think I was being a bit childish, but if I was going to play professional football as a professional footballer, I'd have to be an adult grown man, otherwise I wouldn't be good enough. Do you know what I mean? Not man, grown up. I'm a man. I'm male, so I said man, but you can do it as a female as well. There's no rules about who can play football. So video games are good for you. I like to keep drumming this point home. I feel there's still a lot to be said for the positive, not propagandizing, and not evangelicizing. Not being evangelical about, I don't go out there and preach about computer games to people. Oh, you should be playing Mario, it'd make your life better. Have you heard the good news? He has risen again, Super Mario. But I do actually think when we get the opportunity through our media, when we make a good point like that is backed up by science, we should say, so, video games are good for you. Boil it down to that headline that people can take away and think, oh, maybe I'm thinking differently about something. That's what, all in all, of all these proper pieces of media that we produce together, it is conceptual. It's about sharing ideas and hopefully having people think slightly differently, or the way we think, or even just questioning. They don't have to agree. But if they think differently, if they thought about it instead of not thinking about it at all, that's a good step, isn't it? Video games are good for you. Why do people like collecting things? Pokemon collector. I can delete that now. A random chance why we like RNG. So now, do I go deeper into the combat and throwing the Pokeball thing and say, because the bits that I haven't managed to find are why we like first-person shooter, target, lock-on, shoot. I think that's sort of covered with why we like visual search, recognition, classification. There's two different aspects though. There's the in the field search, and then there's the after event classification into groups and collections. I think we covered that by saying we begin to form ideas about class groups and collections. Pokemon games are actually really good learning tools for young players. Video games are good for you. I think I've mentioned class groups and collections. I think that puts the idea that that's why we like it, is because we like putting things into class groups and collections. Do I need to now say people like collecting things? Have you seen people collecting cars and hats and video games and whatever else? People like collecting things. Maybe I should just put that there in case. People like. Video games are good for you, and people like collecting things. Now, my question now becomes, do we go into this thing about RNG? Hang on, I'm missing my chat, am I? No, you're all right. Do I go into this thing about RNG? You throw the ball, it might be in there, it might not. Oh, it's a gamble, or we like gambling, loot boxy things. Oh, that keeps me on the edge of my seat. There's always a chance that it might go right or wrong. I'm interested. You know, do I need to go into that? Not really. This is not a game about chance. It's not a video about chance. It's just another scientific, because we could put lots of scientific spin on this. We could do the scientific thing about colour, or the scientific thing about noise or sound, or, you know, there's so many aspects of this that we could alight on to bring out a point. Do I need to alight on the random chance bit? It is in there. When you throw that Pokeball, it might not go in, it might go in. It is in there, the chance of it occurring. Because you're going to do capture 25. Why is it still fun to capture the 25th as it is to capture the first? Because 25th is equally as likely to go in that ball as the first, or unlikely. It's the same. Like, why do people still like gambling after they've done 100 horse races? You know, it's the same thing again. It's always fresh. It's never stale. It's always a new random chance that I could win. Oh, I could win. You know, it's always that. Do I need to make that part of this video? I don't know. And the bit about why we like first person, the bit about it being a soft first person shooter has not got in here yet. Video games are good for you. People like collecting things. Pokemon is also a kind of very gentle first person shooter, or it could be third person depending on how you throw the ball, depending on whether you target it or not. So just take out first person shooter and just put shooter. Very gentle shooter. In either first or third person, you are required to target the Pokemon and throw, open brackets, shoot, close brackets, the ball. Now, I know what I feel when I'm saying this. I know that I discovered through playing it that tapping the microphone naughty. I discovered through playing it that it was in some way. Why can't I see that? Where's that gone? In some way, yeah, okay, it's still working. I discovered through playing it that it was in some way a first-person shooter, third. Like, you don't think Pokemon is a shooter, but that's the action that you do, isn't it? You throw that ball, I target, I press shoot. In the same way as playing Fortnite or Call of Duty, I'm targeting and shooting. I'm doing it a lot quicker, a lot more of it in Fortnite and Call of Duty, but that's the bit of the game, isn't it? Target and shooting, move around, get your position, target and shooting. Pokemon, creep around, get your position, target and shoot. It's still a shooter, but it's a really gentle, really like soft-paced shooter. Pokemon is also a kind of very gentle shooter. In either the first or third person, you're required to target the Pokemon and shoot the ball. There is then the ever enjoyable random chance of either failure or success. I put ever enjoyable, and it's changed it to very. Thanks very much. It needs to be ever, because that's the point I'm making, is that it's always enjoyable. Random chance is always enjoyable. Higher or lower than a 6. I'm going to turn a card higher or lower than a 6. You've got an idea in your head already. You're already engaged, aren't you? I'm going to turn a card higher or lower than a 6. You can't help it. You're already putting your bets on in your brain. You're already thinking, well, 7's the middle, so it's more likely to be higher, but only a little bit. You know, only a little bit. You're already thinking that. Your logic brain that you developed as a child. And then waiting to see whether it's turned over to see if you're right. It's just random chance. You couldn't predict it. You didn't make it happen. It's just random chance. But people will spin that roulette wheel. They will spin that wheel again and again and again, won't they? I don't need to labour that point. There is the ever enjoyable random chance of either failure or success. We all like RNG, really, I'll just say. And if you want to argue with me, then we can get the science out. But we've already done a bit of science, so you should assume that I'm backing my stuff up. That's cool. I'm happy with that section now, the science-based section. How the combat feels, vegan aspect, Peter. It's hard cut to anything. Why have I written hard cut to anything? Oh, hard cut to anything. Yeah, I get it now. How do we get out of how the combat feels to how the next thing feels? We just hard cut. So how the combat feels and the vegan aspect. How the combat feels, I've not done a lot about it. It's an RPG combat, essentially. Do I need to go into depth about whether you enjoy RPG? You know, this is my brain again. Like, I want to do an overview of my feelings about Pokemon when I first started playing it from an outside perspective. I've never played Pokemon before, so I'm not coming preloaded with, this is the best Pokemon game ever. I'm coming with, is this any good? But, you know, from baseline. Breath of the Wild is my overview as an entry point. Same similar engine, Nintendo, I love Breath of the Wild. I should enjoy being in this game. Does it live up to that standard? That's where I'm coming from. So do I need to explain what RPG combat is in this review? In this video? How it feels? I don't think so. I'm just going to put the combat is RPG. I don't know. My brain's starting to fail me as well. The vegan aspect, I wanted to talk about Peter. I haven't scripted it, but I've noted it. And I'll just... Okay, so obviously capturing, exploiting and forcing animals, open brackets, or any, because I don't know if Pokemon are animals, or any other sentient being, close brackets, to fight, is not ethical, not vegan. I mean, you don't have to be vegan, but I do, so not vegan. I'm not the first person to notice this as much. It's really hard with Peter. The difficulty with Peter is that they do such good things and they do such stupid things as well, and then like people say, oh well, Peter are responsible for this bad stuff, so you know you and I'm like, yeah, I get it, Peter made some mistakes. It doesn't mean that the general message is wrong, does it? It doesn't mean that they're, just because they've been a bit hypocritical doesn't mean that I'm an idiot for being vegan. But you go on Twitter and you like post something, oh well, Peter did this wrong, so you know and it's like, yeah, but here they're saying don't kill horses. Yeah, but Peter did that to a dog, so, and I'm like, yeah, but here they're saying don't kill horses. Like, you know, they made mistakes. There's not that many huge institutions pushing this big message in the same way. So when they do something good, I do still like to look at it. I mean, I don't know. What they did was, is this. Peter Pokemon, Black and Blue. So they made, and this is a long while back now, they made a Pokemon game, got a free 'em all, Pokemon Black and Blue, where essentially they portrayed the trainers as like, you know, evil, exploitative animal people. The Pokemon themselves looked all beat up and damaged. You know, all that sort of stuff. They used the Pokemon to make a political point. Now, they did this wrong. They made a mistake. I think, as an artist, I think what we should have done here, and I could still do it if I want, but I'm way late to the game, aren't I? Web browsing. Would you please move the right thing? It does annoy me when it doesn't move the right thing. There's Pokemon Black and Blue. I think what we should have done is taken the Pokemon game and reskinned the animals, reskinned the Pokemon, so they were real animals, so you just get a better feeling for what it's like to fight with dogs. And if you want your children to be playing Dogfight Simulator, go ahead. I'm not you know, making the judgment for you. I'm just saying, here's Pokemon, but in a much more realistic, you know, let's make the graphics a bit more realistic for real life. Let's not make it a silly cartoon. Let's have dogs, other animals. You've got a bulldog, for example, instead of a Pikachu, and you go out there, and instead of they faint, they actually die, and instead of, you know, like they've nearly got there with that Black and Blue Pikachu and stuff, but they've stylized and cartoonized the real world. What I'm saying is that's the problem with what Pokemon does, is it creates an analogy that children can comfortably agree with, and then when it goes on to the real world, when they actually catch a beetle in a jar, they might feel that it's not so, you know, to put another beetle in and to have them fight is not so abstract anymore, is it? It's something they've been sanitized into through the sanitized perspective. Then you make it real, you show what, you know, a dog fight looks like in the real, you know, make the game a bit more realistic, and suddenly it's horrible. suddenly no one wants to do it. Making the unrealistic game unrealistically violent, those blood and the chain around it, it's cartoonifying the reality. But what we're trying to say is that you're cartoonifying reality. See what I'm saying? You're cartoonifying animal violence. It's bad. You're cartoonifying animal exploitation. That's bad. The cartoonifying means that children are subtly influenced without seeing the reality. So let's do the other thing. Let's realise the cartoon into real life violence. Let's see a little, piggy fight a little bear or whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? And then if you put more realistic graphics and more realistic things in, people will find it distasteful. Naturally, you won't have to force it down their throat that it's, you're making a point here. Got to free them all. Oh, I get it. I see what they're saying. The Pokemon are captured and exploited. I get it. That's what I believe. But they're making the point in this joke way so you get it, not so you think it. You disagree with it. You think, no, stupid Peter, this is just a game. You're spoiling children's fun. You're taking it too far. So you actually, from interacting with their media, you haven't learned something new about what you feel about the real world. You've become against Peter again because stupid Peter. I see that. I can see that there. But you do it the other way. You don't attack Pokemon. You say, I love Pokemon so much, I've tried to make it more realistic. So I'm using actual animals in my game. I'm not trying to say bad things about Pokemon. Wait, are you saying bad things about Pokemon because you don't like my game with the animals fighting? You think my game's awful with dogs fighting? Kids shouldn't be able to play it? Well, it's just like Pokemon, mate. Do you still think the same about Pokemon? A lot of people would say, no, I still think Pokemon's fine and you're stupid because they're just ignorant and they'll have a chip on their shoulder and they'll never get it. But actually, some people might go, whoa, hang on. Caught in a thought trap there, aren't I? No, wait, I don't like your game. But your game's just like Pokemon, really, isn't it? Maybe I don't like Pokemon. Maybe my thoughts about Pokemon need to be re-examined. But this, I feel, doesn't do that. I feel this Peter version says, because that's not what Pokemon is. Pokemon are not covered in blood. They don't have chains. It's been sanitized. So people are immediately going to say, well, that's not Pokemon. You're making an extreme example of what Pokemon is, and that's not what it is. So you're creating a straw man. So it's not, you're being silly. Whereas what I would do by creating a real version, like a more photorealistic sprite of a dog actually biting and hurting another dog and they die at the end. I'm not Pokemon. I'm Doggymon or whatever I'm calling it. I'm calling it super real Pokemon. If you don't like it, good. You're not supposed to like it. Yeah? That's my thinking on that. So I need to say that in the script. Hopefully I can edit what I've just said from this video and just drop it in the script because I can't be bothered to write that. I'm not the first person to notice this, as Peter made a provocative Pokemon game of their own. I had this idea organically before I knew about Peter's, because remember when we first started playing Pokemon, I'd never even, not interested. So whilst we were playing, if you look through my playthrough, our playthrough on Ganji Kid on YouTube, you can find that I actually said this, I think I should make a Pokemon where we put real animals in, make it an art project. And I said it, and then later on I found out Peter had done it the wrong way. But I had that idea organically. So I don't know if I can ever prove that I had the idea organically. And since I'm referencing the Peter one in my video, it's not about me getting a chip on my shoulder and saying I had the idea first. What I do want to say, though, is that I would do this differently and recast the Pokemon games with actual animals and see if people enjoyed Dogfight Simulator as much as Pokemon. And then it leaves the idea up to you. Then you can then say, well, I think they would enjoy Dogfight Simulator. Of course, they enjoyed Pokemon. Or you could say, of course, I'm not going to play Dogfight Simulator. What a horrible game that would be. And then it's all up to you, isn't it? I'm not advocating for dogfighting. I'm advocating for there being a dogfighting game to allow you to think about the concepts in relation to Pokemon, and that's okay. So I don't have to write any more there. I've said everything. You see how it takes me like an hour to think the concepts through, and then I write just a two-line sentence. And from there we can hard cut to anything. We can just cut that. You don't have to have a segue into everything in a video. I can just cut that into anything. How the leveling system works. I love grinding up XP levels. I think we've said that. And finally, how do I feel? Is this the whole... I haven't done the whole script, have I? I'm only doing the science bit here. I think the rest of the script holds up well, though. I'm just looking through it now. Grinding stuff. And what time are we at now? So I've done nearly an hour and 2 hours. I'm trying to learn if it's better to write a script offline, to just spend a day off the edit, day off doing my work, and you don't see me on stream, but I come out with a video, or we do this together on stream. It actually makes the video better, quicker, whatever. I do it quicker. I don't know the answer yet. I'm thinking I'm taking longer to do the work, but it's maybe better for you because I'm here. You're paying me to do this work, remember? You're subscribing to me on Twitch. You're supporting me on Patreon. You're sending in the tippies. You're paying me to do this work. So I want you to know that I actually chuffing do it. I'm not just taking a day off, not on stream today. Oh, where is he? Or he's probably just sat in the garden. No, I'm doing this. But I don't know if I'd be better off just doing this in the morning, getting it done, and not talking it through, or if it's made it better. But I do know that it has made it better because Snips added an idea that I would not have thought of that is actually a really good point, that made a huge difference and was exactly the sort of thing I was looking for. So in some ways it's better, in some ways it takes longer. Better, but it takes longer. I'm happy with that as a concept. That's all right. The video can wait. We're doing a stream, so that's good. And it's going to be a better video. Yeah, that's good. I think I'm all right with that. Learning about how I feel. So with that in mind, let's finish off our final section. I'll put "and finally," and I'm going to need to change the battery on the camera and just grab something from the kitchen. So just 1 second. I apologise about this, but batteries don't last forever. Just like Pokemon, they faint. They don't die, they faint, just like Pokemon. Because they put that in the game because they didn't want the concept of death to be taken too lightly by children. Interesting. Good boy. I just noticed the time. I've got to make this relatively snappy. Get off there. I'm going to take ages and I've got to make it relatively snappy. Where is my chuffing? Right, in my pocket. Yeah, I've got to visit a friend in a little minute. So I'm out of focus, am I? Oh, you chuffer. That camera's battery 0. How can that one be 0? It's been on charge all night. Well, that's made a decision for me. This new battery is at 0 already, which is weird. So we're going to get as far as we get, and then when it carks it, it carks it. We've done a good stream. It's just this last bit, and finally, how do I feel? The most important thing about art is how I feel. Relaxed. Importantly, I can close a session about 4 a.m, but don't play until the sun comes up, which is what I can do with some addictive game loops. I'm looking at you, Teamfight Manager. But overall, I'm really enjoying Pokemon. Importantly, there are 4 more regions to discover. I'm only at the early stages of the game. These have been my early findings from my Poke research, and I am a great scout after all. I am a scout. What am I? I'm in the scout team or something. What I'm trying to say, though, it didn't come out properly when I said it, is that finding how I feel generally is that I feel good about the game. I enjoy it. And I've got a lot more to discover. What I'm trying to say is that I've got a lot more research to do about the game. Let's get that black and blue off. Why is the music stopped? Oh, it's because I've unplugged my headphones by mistake. Oh, come on, Windows now. Yes, doggy. What I'm trying to say is that I've got a lot more to discover about the game and a lot more research to do. And that essentially that the role of somebody who researches and discovers is the same as the role of the player in the Pokemon game, isn't it? You're doing discovery and research, aren't you, in the Pokemon game? So what I'm trying to say there, and it should sound right, is I'm enjoying it. I'm at the early stages, and these are my early findings from my Pokemon research. And I've got a lot more research to do because I'm a great scout. You know, I'm a, whatever they call them, a scout. What are we? We're not the scouts, are we? We're the something else. With the, does it begin with an S? I think it begins with an S. What are we with the, I don't know, anyway, I'll discover next time I play Pokemon. That's the end of it, isn't it? My brain's started to give out on me, so I can't finish that. But what I'd like to be doing is finishing this script today, reading it tonight, and when I say reading it, I mean delivering it live on stream, and then getting all the B-roll from the... I'm still downloading our episodes of Pokemon gameplay. Get all the B-roll that fits with what I've said, put it all on there, edit it, of course. And there's some other things in the B-roll that are fun that have happened that I haven't even mentioned in the script, like this time this thing happened, or it was really enjoyable when I saw and felt this, or, you know, I want to put a side-by-side comparison of Breath of the Wild in some aspects, because I think there are some bits that it just doesn't reach up to standard, but I don't know. You know, how long is a piece of string? How long should the script be? How much B-roll do I need to get? This last bit I've put here, though, is that the negatives are, and I don't know where the negatives fit in the script. The negatives are, I can't say quite what I mean, but it looks a bit like a fake Pokemon game. The quality of the non-interactive aspects make it like a waxwork world. What I mean is that the village is all static, the people just stand there forever. The open world is not an open world. I was sold the idea of a Breath of the Wild style Pokemon collection game. The game presents open areas that are only accessible through fast travel. Spaces bordered with impassable mountain ranges and even invisible walls keep me inside the described areas. It's not an open world, rather a series of open spaces isolated from each other. Levels, if you will, leading to a final showdown in the sky hole with God. I'm looking forward to it, but of course the showdown won't happen for a while, as I'm not driving toward it very quickly because I've got hundreds of Pokemon to catch and index. So I hope that says what I mean, which is that, you know, there are some negatives. It's not as graphically beautiful. It doesn't tie together that well. Some of the sprites belong, and some of them are slightly artistically inconsistent. And that gives it a feeling of cheapness. When it doesn't all tie together like that, gives a feeling of cheapness, like you've just made a game by buying assets off the asset store, chucking them together. You know, you've got your Breath of the Wild engine, you've got your Pokemon assets, you put them together even if they don't look like they go together. I think that says that. And the fact of the matter is that, and it's a really big, and we're going to leave it for a later, this is the opening review, this is my initial thoughts. We haven't finished the game yet, so they're subject to change. But the fact that in the game you've got so many Pokemon to catch, you know, you've got so many bloody Pokemon to catch, you've got so many side quests and stuff, like you can say that about Zelda as well, it's not a bad thing, but the game mechanic, I've stopped, my face has stopped, has it? Brilliant. We're going to finish now soon then. The game mechanic of going out and collecting Pokemon is not the game mechanic of going out and finishing the game. The story mode, like the thing you're supposed to do, is sort of complemented, but actually also contrasted by the other stuff you can do, the busy work, the leveling up, the collecting 1 million Pokemon. In fact, you don't have to collect any of those Pokemon to follow the story mode and finish the game. I think. I don't know because I haven't finished it, so I should be careful about what I say there. But that's what I want to imply, is that I would be further on had I not followed the game. Like, the game has got two... It's trying to pull you one way, do the story, but also it's pulling you away from the story, do this other stuff. And they're non-complementary game mechanics. And that's quite an interesting aspect of a game. So I wanted to state that as a sentence. I think I've done it well at the end there, that I would be further on with the story, except I have to collect all these millions of Pokemon. So I'm making a joke, but I'm making a point that the game mechanics work against each other in some way. And I'm leaving it there at the end because it might be what we pick up on as the start of our full review. Not repeating ourselves, but, you know, now that's our initial findings. Once I've done this video, I can move on to our... complete the game and then look back and say, do I agree with my initial findings? What's the game really about? Have I got any other things to say about it in a final review? Please refer to my initial findings because I'm not going to repeat them. This is the final review, you know. So that's where we're at. As of now, what I've got to do is pop to my friend's house for a little bit, and then come back and read the script online live tonight. We are 18:43 GMT at the moment. That is 6:45 in the UK, in the afternoon, in the evening. I expect I might be back on after 9-ish. So you be good, my little puckos. You be good. And I will see you a bit later. If you can't be good, then I'm going to freeze your face and put it in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. And you'll just be there with your frozen expression when the battery runs out. You be good. You be good.